Is using slang hella cool or totes whack?
Word.
Well, I'm Matt.
And I'm Carter.
And welcome to it. It's kind of a gray area.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. I almost used slang there, but then I panicked and couldn't think of any slang.
It would have been dope if you could have.
Right. So, today's episode, as you saw from the introduction and the title, depending on how straightforward the title is about slang. This is a really fun topic, I feel like. There's a lot of great slang that's been picked up and discarded over the years because it changes all the time, which I think is the main complaint here. The reason it's even considered a bad thing is originally, from what I Googled, in like the 15th, 16th century, slang became a common thing, which I find that hard to believe. It was like in the 15th century instead of just like the dawn of time.
You would think before that there would be a little bit of a snowball of it.
Yeah, but I guess also maybe it couldn't proliferate in the same way. You know, you've got TV, movies, books, comics, newspapers, all of this stuff where slang gets used for a while and then put into any of those mediums, and then it's available to anyone in the country.
Well, and of course now with transmission with radio and everyone connecting over the entire world, it reaches the entire world so quickly. It's not just like in a little, like in the 1800s, there's like this little town and like the town uses it, and eventually over 200 years it spreads to the world. It's just like one person uses it, and then 2 weeks later, it's now in the dictionary.
Yeah, also, I just want to point out, it's really funny to me that you went with radio
Well,
instead of internet.
Well, no, radio, like the first thing that really kind of connected long distances, and then you got like, everything that follows.
Yeah, I know. But the way you said it just sounded like, you know, in the modern world where we have the radio.
Well, the FM and the AM.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, what a step up. I mean, my car has FM2 now also.
Yeah, one time I ate a lot of pizza and had a nightmare about something called XM, but I'm sure that'll never exist.
And that doesn't sound appropriate for right. People under 18.
But yeah, so slang, you know, it spreads very quickly. I feel like a lot of it now comes from music. I think a lot of musicians make up words, or like they take words and use them in a way no one else has yet. Which could be literally anything, because like with a lot of music, especially like rap, like you're throwing stuff in and trying to do wordplay, and then like some people are better at wordplay than others, and so there's some people who have some really weird choices. But yeah, the thing I was trying to say was basically the thing I read, 15th, 16th century, slang was seen as something that was very lowly, like only commoners and like criminals and, you know, lowlifes as far as the nobles concerned.
Like the uneducated.
Yeah.
Had to make up their own words.
Yeah, they're the ones using slang. So the stigma that's there dates back to that, of them being like, oh, it's such a commoner, uneducated, peasant thing to do, to speak improperly. And so that just carried over, where children were taught, like, if you speak like that, it's because you sound like an idiot. And so, you know, slang has had this stigma against it, though every single generation, as far as I know, as far back as history goes, has slang. Usually very specific to their generation of, like, their teenage years. Yeah. So you have, like, 50 slang, which I found out the funniest one I saw today was tube steaks. That was a 1950s slang for hot dogs. But apparently the cool people, the cool cats, would say tube steaks.
It just makes them sound so unappetizing.
I don't know.
Well, actually, that sounds better than hot dogs.
Yes, because, you know, the tube, I mean, really, if they could just find, like, maybe just call them, like, hot steaks, and it's like, but they're not steaks. And it's like, yeah, but they're hot steaks. It's like a steak that's a
they're in a
cylinder.
Tube, so tube steaks. It's like, no, that's...
Yeah, but if you drop the dog and the tubes, like, I think it sounds much better with what you're left with.
Okay, I was like, you dropped
hot steaks versus like tube dogs.
I thought you said you dropped the dog and the tubes, and I'm like, what?
No.
Okay, so it's hot from the dogs and then steaks from the tubes.
Yes.
So hot tubes.
Hot tubes.
Hot steaks. No. Hot steaks. Come and get them.
Hot tubes sounds so much worse.
Anyone want a nice hot tube?
Sir, you need to leave this park immediately.
Well, come on, I brought my own buns.
Gosh. Another source of slang that people who did like high school theater are probably familiar with is Shakespeare. Shakespeare made up a lot of words that are in common usage today.
I've heard that, like a surprising amount.
A lot, like he made up a lot of words. He was like the Dr. Seuss of his day. But let me read you guys some.
Who's? Yeah, no, he just took existing words and just made them into names.
Yeah, let me read you guys off a list here of some of Shakespeare's words that he made up.
Okay.
Which are really surprising because these are all just words now. But originally this would have been slang. So you've got bandit, critic, dauntless, dwindle, elbow, green-eyed.
He made up elbow?
As a verb, using it as a verb, like to elbow someone out.
I used that yesterday.
Green-eyed in terms of jealousy.
Okay.
Lackluster, lonely, skim milk, swagger, unaware, uncomfortable, undress, unearthly, unreal, and upstairs.
How did you make up upstairs?
Well, because you have, like, floors. There's, like, we've got the floor up there, or, like, the upper floor and the lower floor, and there's the stairs. And then Shakespeare's like, yes, he went upstairs to blah, 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 which now just sounds like, yeah, he went upstairs. But back then, it's like this flowery, poetic way of saying he went up there.
I guess I could see that. It is such common terminology now that you don't even think about it. And there were a lot of those. I mean, I'd say about 80% of those we use every day.
Yes.
Thank you, Shakespeare.
Yes. Yeah, and then things like are so innocuous that you don't even think of as slang. Like, what's up? Like when you ask someone, hey, what's up? That's slang.
Oh, you're right.
Or if someone responded saying like, yeah, I'm cool, that's slang.
What's up with you?
Yeah. Which you could ask this in a formal setting without it sounding like slang. Like you could go up to your boss and be like, hey, what's up? And it's not going to sound like you went up and was like, yo, what's lit, fam? Yep. Like that. Those are two very different sounding things, but they're both slang.
I think it'd be a little different, though, if you walked up to your boss and was like, hey, you want a tube steak?
Right.
Yeah? You want a tube steak, boss? Yeah.
Gary, this is why we didn't want to hire you. We heard these reports from your last employer.
I will say there is...
No, those were hot tubes. This is a different thing. I got fired for hot tubes.
Hot tubes. I've tweaked it. There is a place near us called Hot Wiener, which
is there.
Where? It's a restaurant that sells hot dogs. They specialize in hot dogs.
Is this a gay club?
And no, it's not. A lot of handsome gentlemen in there, though.
I would love that. If you were like, it's this restaurant, like they sell this stuff. Like usually there's like really loud music and people dancing all over the place when you go in there.
Because they're so excited.
But it's a restaurant.
But yeah, the place is called Hot Wiener.
Hot Wiener.
That's interesting. If you're ever in Maryland, just Google Hot Wiener. Just MapQuest.
MapQuest on Google Maps.
Google Maps.
Yes.
Hot Wiener.
Google is slang. That's a very...
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To Google something? Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I would love to know what % of our daily vocabulary is not slang.
Yeah. What were we saying?
So, like, I mean, should we...
Is it bad?
Is it bad? I mean, like... First off, if you're a time traveler, it's horrible because you do not understand what the heck is going on after 100 years.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, even less than that. If I went back to the 50s, before looking at this article, if I went to the 50s and I'm like, Back to the Future, having dinner with, my future parent and her family, then someone brings out tube steaks and they're like, hey, who wants a tube steak? I wouldn't know that was ever an expression.
Yeah, if they said, let's grab some tube steaks before the sock hop, you'd be like,
It's like, I know what a sock hop is, but you're pulling my chain on the tube steaks. And they're like, you don't have a chain. And you're like, oh, no, it's happening to you too now.
Yeah. That's true.
I'm going to say slang is not bad for language. I'm going to say slang is a natural part of language.
I'm glad we had this discussion because I did not have my mind made up on this beforehand. Or any kind of real opinion on this. I think slang is bad.
Do you?
I do. Because for one of the points that you just said, if you go back in time, you can't communicate with the people 100 years ago or a couple hundred years especially. You can't. And then they have to keep updating books so it's easier to read. Like, oh, this is the this version, and this is easier to read. This new updated version of the translation. Because we don't talk or read like that anymore. Right. It's a huge nuisance. I'm not conceding. No, I'm not.
Okay, well, I think we should go ahead and get to the point here. So I say slang is good for language. It's just, the food you feed a language so it grows up.
I think it should never grow up, and it should always be the same and easy to understand.
Okay, Peter Pan, let's do this.
I would go to Neverland and never grow up. Peter Pan, if you're watching, take me now. All right, here we go.
Peter Pan, take me now.
Not out of context.
Right. Okay.
Some guy shows up in a Peter Pan costume. It's not what I meant!
I would imagine like a really tall, buff guy in a Peter Pan costume. Are you Matthew?
Are you Peter? Come fly with me. No,
okay.
I don't think you first.
Right, okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh.
I don't think I ever used paper. I don't think I've ever used paper.
It really threw me.
Yeah. So slang is good. The universe is in agreement. Slang is hip. It's happening.
All right, well, I got today's Would You Rather, and it is,
Happening?
It's happening. It's totes, guys. It's pretty banging, to be honest with you.
Pretty radical.
Yeah.
Is it wicked?
It's wicked.
Sweet.
Sweet. And it is, would you rather be the president or a billionaire for one day?
Wow. Do you know the word president is actually slang?
No. Do you? Is it?
No, it's not.
Are you punking me?
I wanted to see if you would make a guess for what the actual term is. Okay. So, yeah, be the president for a day?
I'll be the president for a day or a billionaire for a day.
Now, can anyone reverse my actions for either of these? Like, if I'm president and I like write in like some laws or something, or pass some bills that are on my desk, like
yeah, you only have 24 hours to get something done.
Right, but if I like write a bill and it gets passed, like an executive order or something, like the next day, can someone just cancel it, or does it stay in effect?
No, it's still in effect.
Okay.
Yeah. Thinking Carter right there.
What's your take on
It's
this?
like an eye squint and just lean back with a sip of his drink.
Are you narrating my life now? Carter sat there thinking deeply about the answer to the question, but there was no answer to the question.
As he talked about himself next to his co-host, scratching his chin. What was your question?
What's your opinion on this?
Oh,
what's
that makes
your
sense.
answer?
That was the logical question you should have asked me. Okay, I know what I would do. I would be a billionaire because I would donate all of it to great causes in that one day.
Right.
And then the next day, the guy that I guess was the billionaire would no longer be a billionaire.
Yeah, I didn't think about that because you're like, if you're the president, clearly you're replacing someone for a day. But for the billionaire, I didn't think about whether or not you're replacing a billionaire.
Yeah, so you get to spend all his money.
How did you just do a bunch of stuff you don't understand where you're like, I'm just going to sell all of his stocks and like, buy up all this stuff, and it just like totally throws the economy around.
Yeah, 2 years later, like it's just we're like a fourth world country.
Yeah, like you take like you're Bill Gates for a day, and you're just like, I'm going to sell all of this and get rid of everything, and that's like all of his assets, all of his stocks, everything. Microsoft just collapses after that, and then some other company takes over.
What if you were Bill Gates for a day, and all of a sudden you got access to everything, and you looked and you're like, Skynet.
Right. Which they are making right now, right?
Skynet's a real thing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's some Chinese company has made it. It's a facial recognition software that is the most inclusive, all-inclusive, whatever. They have the most resources. And they call it a Skynet.
Right.
They call it a Skynet. What the heck? No China.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take billionaire for a day. I think money's a lot more powerful than just like a position, honestly. At least in America.
Well, I don't know. Currently, the president can do whatever he wants in America. So,
that's true,
but,
there's still people with more money that he seems to answer to, so.
That's true. We could be one of the people that's groveling afterwards.
Yes.
I hope you see this, POTUS. Okay, all right, yeah, so we would both be billionaires.
Yes.
That sounds super exciting.
Yeah, and we would be billionaires using all the slang that we want to use because, as we found out, the universe is okay with slang.
Oh, I would buy Websters.com and add more words.
You, again, were against slang.
I do, but now the universe is for it, so I'm all for it.
Right.
That would be so much fun.
I'm very against slang. It's like, well, it's all good now. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to do everything I can in my life to promote slang.
All right, well, gloves are off.
I'm going to quit my job, become a linguist, and travel around the world promoting slang.
You don't have to be a linguist. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but people will listen to you more if you're a linguist.
That's true.
Maybe. I've never been a linguist.
I don't know. But if you have like a PhD or a doctorate, they will listen to you a little bit better.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you guys like today's episode, there's a lot more happening out there. And I know it's like the third time I've used the word happening. I can't think of other slang because I'm a square. That was the other attempt I made. Anyway, there's other episodes out there. Go check them out. They're pretty cool, rad, and wicked.
Yes, they are funky fresh. But before you click over, make sure you comment, like, and push that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes.
Yep, and drop some dope slang at your next Sop Hop.
Ring the notification bell.
Toast your tube steak buns before hanging with your homies.
And never go cruising for a bruising.
Mm.
And as always,
IKAGA. Yep.
Yeah!